Hi everyone, it's Louise Pearson back with you, and I'm here to do another video on my series, which is When You're the One with a Life-Limiting Illness. So this one is about dealing with uncertainty, and I guess just in beginning I want to draw your attention to the fact that I have lived experience of a life-limiting illness. I'm actually I have cancer, I have pancreatic cancer myself, and had cancer as a child of one to lose the sight in both of my eyes. Also, I've worked as a social worker and a counsellor with people who have life-limiting illness for the last 30 years. So that's where I'm coming to you from. Now, this video is about uncertainty, and I think it's the worst of the invisible symptoms. So when we have a life-limiting illness, we're often dealing with what other people can't see. Things like the grief that we're experiencing. It might be some anger or depression, some fatigue or pain even. And personally, I find uncertainty the hardest one to deal with. It's the one that keeps you awake at night. It's the one that can be so far-reaching. So we might be plagued with thoughts about what the end will be like, when will things start to change, what is the next change going to be, who'll be with us as things start to really change. And also it might be, how do I just go on with life? How do I accept the fact that nothing might change? Where we are in the journey will determine which of these things shows up for us. But essentially what we're doing is coping with events which are traumatic. So we're dealing with a trauma. And so in my work with clients, I've found it helpful, and this works for myself too, to realise that with life-limiting illness, we experience flash forwards rather than flashbacks. So we look into the future and our imaginations run riot. It might be that we see ourselves in particular in hospital, in a wheelchair if we have MS, unable to work, unable to pay the mortgage. Maybe we flash forward to what our own funeral might be like. So it's essentially a type of anxiety. And we deal with it really in the same way that we deal with flashbacks. So we need to ground ourselves in the present. We're coping with trauma. We deal with it in the same way. And we try to look at things like the time and date. Pick up your mobile phone, notice the date, and notice that, if you're thinking about 10 years from now or 2 years from now, it's not today's date. Sometimes it can be a simple gesture that reminds yourself, that the picture in your mind is not the reality. So if you're thinking about whether you'll be able to walk, and you can walk now, putting your feet to the floor can be really helpful. It might be reaching up and, rubbing your face. It might be anything that shows you that, hey, I'm still here and I'm still coping. And on that score, I think it's really important to talk compassionately to yourself rather than to be cross with yourself about how you're dealing with it. These things are not easy. And if you can say to yourself, it's okay, we're here right now, and the old Emily Dickinson quote is, that forever is made up of lots of nows. And so, we're here right now, and that's what matters. If it works for you, try focusing on your breath. Some big, deep breaths can be helpful to slow the thoughts. And distract yourself. Look at what else you can think about today. Try and get onto a task. Do something that's going to take your mind off it, but also that's going to prove to you that you're still here and you're still okay. And another thing is to reach out for help. So talk to other people, talk to someone who you feel understands, reach out to a counsellor, whatever it might be for you. Another thing I often encourage my clients to do, and which I've found really helpful myself, is to think about some sessions of what we call depth enquiry. So this is an approach that I use in my practice a lot for managing anxiety and resolving trauma. And, you know, as I've said, that trauma can be future oriented rather than looking back on something. It's a process where we use binaural beats, and depth inquiry builds on the EMDR principles. If you've ever heard of EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, and it's basically a way of you packing away some of the anxiety and doing that as we talk in a bit of talk therapy. If you want some more information on that, go to my website, louisepearson.com.au, and have a look at the services tab. I'm hoping you found this video helpful. If you have, keep watching for more in the series, like this one, and press subscribe to my channel so that you'll hear about new offerings.